issue is history, for me it's like yesterday, so let's listen to her point of view.
Hello, I would like you to tell you the process of transition from traditional cataloging by using paper cards to automated cataloging with help of VTLS, and in what way it affected the working methods in cataloging department. On slides I will show you the calendarium of significant events for the transition. Sorry. Stage 1, planning and preparation. At the beginning of 90s, the first steps towards the creation of a computer network and the library computerization had been taken. The key role played the funds awarded by Andrew Mellon Foundation to support the computerization of Polish academic libraries. First, 3 Polish libraries participated in that project: Jagiellonian Library, Warsaw University Library, and the Library of the University of Gdańsk. With time, the next libraries joined them. In 1992, the decision about purchasing the library system VTLS was made. Then, in 1994, the local area network was launched at the University of Gdańsk, the VTLS was installed, and works on creating the computer database had started. Stage 2, implementation of computer cataloging. The opening of online catalog at our library coincided with the same event at other university libraries that had bought VTLS. One of the first steps to strengthen the cooperation between them was the creation of the Union Authority file, located on the server of Warsaw University Library. This project made possible to share the results of work done in each library. Apart from this, librarians copied bibliographic records between their databases. But at the time, the Union Catalog hadn't existed yet, and librarians had to connect with each other database separately. Unfortunately, the poor internet connection at that time made the cooperation difficult and not fully effective. The waiting time for connection with other databases was long, the connection was unstable, and its speed was extremely low. For example, copying a record lasted about 12 minutes. Apart from that, the Library of the University of Gdańsk had to face up its inner difficulties. They considered both a shortage of equipment, there wasn't enough computers terminals for all workers, and necessity to accustom the librarians to new working methods. Librarians had to be trained in using computers as well as creating bibliographic records in MARC format. In addition, there hadn't been ready procedures of work with computer catalog. In search of the best solutions, the further organizational improvements were being carried out. To sum up, at that stage there hadn't been the possibility of taking full advantage of the new technology. The pace of work measured by number of records added to catalog didn't increase in reference to traditional method of cataloging. One of the reasons was the lack of authority file database, and as a result, it was necessary to create it would delay the whole cataloging process. Despite these librarians were learning how to operate the system and working on methods to take full advantage of it, put them into effect. Stage 3, stabilization. After overcoming difficulties with first years of computerization, the library experienced the efficiency increase. The number of bibliographic records entered into computer database had increased almost twice and stabilized at a new higher level, as you can see on the chart. The reasons of the tendency were varied. Firstly, working conditions improved significantly. because additional computers were purchased together with more modern software, and difficulties with internet connection had been overcome. Secondly, the librarians had improved their computer skills and were able to use the new software more effectively. At the end of that stage, two important events happened that strongly influenced library performance in the following years. The first one was the implementation of the Union Catalog, to which the content of authority file database was downloaded. The second one, of local importance but also of considerable significance, was a decision about the construction of a new library. Consequently, preparations for moving the central library of the University of Gdańsk, the new building, had started. Stage 4, the move of the library. The major challenge that the library of the University of Gdańsk had to face was the move to the new building that required careful preparations. It involved selecting and preparing books and periodicals for new building. Most of them hadn't been entered in the computer catalog yet, so considerable effort was directed towards retrospective cataloging. At the same time, shared cataloging in NUCAT has started. Unlike the situation with computerization, the full benefit of Union Catalog was visible at the beginning. During the first few months, there was need of training librarians in use of NUCAT, and it took some time to establish working methods. But in effect, NUCAT was invaluable for library performance, what was especially visible during preparations for moving books to the new building. The possibility of copying substantial percentage of records from new books, about 55–75% in different years, as the chart shows, allowed to put more effort into retrospective cataloging. The process of preparations involved the full mobilization of catalogers who were working overtime, and other librarians were helping. The effect was steady annual growth in number of bibliographic records. For example, the number of bibliographic records entered into the catalog increased, as you can see on the chart, to nearly 23,000 in 2002 and reached a peak in 2005, a year preceding the move, when the growth exceeded 40,000 records. Next, the annual growth tended to decrease, which was a result of few factors. Workers were engaged in moving the collection to the new building, as well as moving their workstations. There was major reorganization of cataloging departments, and finally, after a period of increased effort, the work returned to normality. That meant much less overtime work and limited participation of workers from other departments. After completing the reorganization connected with the move, cataloging department has entered a period of stability. Again, there is a tendency of annual growth in number of records entered into computer catalog. As you can see on the next slide, a percentage of records copied from NUCAT remained high and amounted over 70%. To sum up, thanks to computerization and next creation of Union Catalog, the time of duplicating the same work came to the end. The benefits of shared cataloging are becoming more and more visible. Most records are copied, and because the process of copying is much faster than creating the new record, each of the participants of the Union Catalog is able to enter into its database more items than before. Shared cataloging of new acquisition caused that the work is shared between individual libraries. Statistics of NUCAT showed it perfectly. According to them, 1,200 librarians from 89 libraries participate in creation of the Union Catalog. But we should remember that the number concerns all catalogers entitled to enter records, and not all of them are actively involved in cataloging. As a consequence, despite the fact that individual library does less work, librarians of the University of Gdańsk creates records for only part of its new acquisition, the new books are available in computer database much faster than it was before. In future, this information revolution will strongly influence the existing structure of libraries in Poland. Owing to the fact the work is shared between 89 institutions, the far fewer people in each library will do cataloging. It will happen in some time, but it's not so visible now because there is a necessity of making up for time before computerization. There is still a large number of older books that haven't been entered into computer catalog yet. And we still have traditional catalog in our library. That's why the work in cataloging department is now focused on retrospective cataloging. And the same is taking place in all participant libraries. Certainly, the Union Catalog speeds this process up. Libraries doesn't duplicate their work and deal only with books that hasn't been entered in the computer database yet. Unquestionable and highly visible are improvements for readers. Thanks to shared cataloging, they have faster access to new publications. Searching only one database, they know which library have wanted book and very occasionally use card catalogs. What they find uncomfortable and annoying. Now, the first page. You didn't have chance to see, did? And thank you for your attention.
It's a very nice, brief and clear presentation of our history of our automation and of our cooperation. Thank you, and Sylvia.